Hello and welcome to the show. I am back on BeamNG Drive with 3 more vehicles being driven till destruction at the Endurodrome. We start with the 200BX. Now I've gone for the street tune version of this car. It's a little bit more powerful, it's turbocharged, it has got sport suspension, it is quite low, the front bumper only just fits over the speed bumps from normal. Might give it some grief, although the 200BX is well known for actually having very, very strong wheel axles. It actually also has NOS. We're not going to be using the NOS. It's not going to last very long and it's just going to get us into more trouble, so we're not going to be using the NOS. But it does come fitted with that from standard. Now, survivability-wise is going to be interesting with this car. As I said, it has got very strong wheel axles. They tend to bend rather than snap, which often leaves you with a car that's crabbing around like mad, but is still, you know, working. It's still driving. It's still able to put power down. Oh, thank you, little frame rate issues. Yeah, it's still it might still keep going in very, very bad conditions. I mean, we've got the Regency has set a very early benchmark for spectacular car falling apart issues that vehicles like this are going to have to try and beat. Honestly, I think the most likely way this is going to go out, suspension collapsing. The sport suspension is not going to like these bumps. The advantage to sport suspension sometimes is that you'll kind of hit a bump, you'll crash over it, and that'll be that. The vehicle won't continue to bounce like you often get with some of the big lifted trucks. However, around this sort of circuit, because of the frequency of the bumps, you continue to hit them, something's going to snap. Drive shaft is a potential concern with the car. The radiator is also likely to go at some point, with the front of the car likely to hit the ground quite regularly. Oh, spinning the vehicle is not a great start. And now we don't actually have much speed as we come up towards the rock section here. We need to get enough. Oh, there we go. We need to get enough speed so that we can clear the rocks. You really don't want bits of the underside of your car hitting the rocks. Oh, stop bouncing around. Uh-oh. Okay, that's fine. We've just hit the rear of the car again. I guess a punctured fuel tank is possible. It's less likely in the 200BX, I would imagine. It's not a happy car out on the dirt. There's actually not a huge amount of rear-end grip, so we got to be a little bit careful with that. How is that? Okay, our rear suspension is not doing great on the right-hand side. Left-hand side is perhaps a little bit. I think the left-hand side might be a little bit better just because I haven't seen it yet. If we can't see the problem, it's not a problem. I think that's a way to go. Oh. Now, the rules with this series are the cars have got to be driven hard around this circuit. I've got to be driven as fast as I can drive them. However, this, because of its actual lack of rear-end grip, is making it quite difficult for me to go fast. Just getting control in the car is a little bit difficult. That being said, it does look like we are going to head around this first lap, and we will. I say that, we shouldn't say that until we've actually got to the start-finish line, because there's still a couple of corners to go. We'll lose a rear bumper, and oh, we've lost all of the bumpers. But that's actually kind of good places to lose all the bumpers. They're pinged off, there's no real, they're not going to get stuck under the car, so we are good to continue onwards. That's a little bit of a nasty clonk. I've got to... The instinct is to try and catch the car, even once you know it's up in the air, and so the instinct is trying to catch the car, and I really don't want to land on the front, well, the front wheels with the steering turn. That's how you bend and snap wheels. Speaking of bent and snapped, the rear left is gone. The rear left is not in the position it started at. Now, this is always going to likely be a thing that's going to afflict this car, and these steering and these driving problems are going to get worse, especially with a car this quick. When you've got this level of power, when you can go as fast as this, yeah, it's always likely to be a little bit of a problem vehicle. It has, though, gone further than both the Firehawk and the Fayette. It has gone further than those two. I mean, it's got a long way to go to get near the Miramar. Could the 200BX manage it? I think unlikely. I think the suspension's going to give up. Or the suspension giving up is going to cause bigger problems in this. The Miramar suspension never failed on that car. The steering was knackered, but the suspension never failed on that vehicle, whereas this one here is already starting to go. This, well, being rear-wheel drive, the rear wheels are actually taking a surprisingly large battering. If we lose one of those, we will be in trouble. Bloody hell. Okay, all the radiator's going to go for... That was a bit... we've not had a car get launched that far off of the rocks ever I'm not even quite sure how we managed that one, but we did. That has conked out the radiator. Now, that means overheating is going to play a factor here. We are at, well, we're kind of at mid-temperature range. High-powered turbocharged engine, it's likely to get quite warm quite quickly, although it does depend on how bad the radiator puncher is, how quickly the coolant's draining out. From a roll, I mean, it's likely to be a fairly serious puncher, but you never really know. You never really know with these cars. It is getting increasingly difficult to keep control of with these rear wheels. I mean, there are all sorts of broken angles. Now we need to get up to about 60 miles an hour. We want down here to be able to make this jump and land it cleanly. Oh, no car. Oh, okay, it's fine. Problem is, yeah, this car will make the jump. You know, it's got the speed to do it, but it doesn't have the suspension to deal with the effects of landing a jump. Okay, we're all good. We're crabbing badly, and the bodywork's a bit buckled, and it's, it's been upside down once. Oh, crap! I might turn in a little bit too soon. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, I don't know what crash took out the front. The front left is gone. Front left is a problem area. Now, we have still got enough to steer our car. We have still got enough to steer our car even with a front left. We'll have to go it's going to take a little while to get the car turned, but it will still turn, and it's fast enough. It stays above the crawler rule, if you like. Oh, it's going to get clonked. Oh, steering's come back to it, I think. Oh no, it's actually... So we turned left very well. It's turning right that is the issue with that wheel. So we can take left-hand turns. In fact, if anything, we've got better turning now to the left. It's getting the vehicle to turn right that is the issue. Now, of course, as the car gets more and more broken, it's then more difficult to actually carry speed anywhere. So the car kind of survives better and survives worse all at the same time. It's kind of strange. When you're going quick enough, sometimes you kind of just like bounce over things without them ever really affecting the vehicle. When you're going slowly, you hit everything. But of course, when you're going slower, when you hit stuff, it's not as bad as when you go quickly and hit something. So it could go either way for the 200BX with a dodgy front left wheel. Oh, we're going to hit those speed bumps have taken out a car so far. They took out the Regency, I think, the engine of it. Many things were going wrong with the Regency. It was the engine that finally killed it. But yeah, those speed bumps did take out the Regency. What are we going? I fear the rocks. I fear the rocks with little control. We might end up just hitting the rocks at whatever angle the car wants to. And that might be a bad angle. That might be a bad angle. I mean, the temperature's starting to get quite bad. That's a bad angle. Yeah. Our temperature is starting to get quite warm. Still not in the orange area yet. We're going to carry on. The drive shaft, if anything... Okay, that's actually improved our steering. We pull very badly. However, overall, the steering has been... Oh, yeah, we pull and it's a little bit erratic. However, the steering actually now pulls more back to the right than it... We've got more steering back from having had a crash. I'm sure that's how mechanicking works, right? Sure, absolutely sure that's how it works. Certainly is how it works in this series. Sometimes breaking the car more fixes the car. Yeah, I think it's just bent bits differently in the front left, and that helps, although it doesn't really help down here. It's a vicious bumps down there. We've got no other option but to go around. To go around that. It's not because of a lack of steering there. That's from way too stiff a suspension, essentially, in this vehicle for this kind of terrain. The sports cars are going to fare similarly, all of them. Sunburst we saw had very similar issues. Being a sport version, not a rally version. Are we going to be going quick enough? Yes, we did actually get that landing very nicely, which is the best we've got that landing with the car in the worst condition it's been all day. Ooh, the front is going to get pinged up into these speed bumps, though, if we're not careful. How long we got temperature-wise? Probably not that long. Probably not that long at all. Now, get across these, and... we're going to get a little bit of sliding. It's very, very broken, but it's still good enough to do a little bit of sliding. Oh, nope. And we've bounced it off. Now, I'm allowed to kind of reverse it back on the circuit when it's been bounced clear of that, but we do have to be able to make it through these. We do still have the steering. It's certainly not a car being being counted out, if you like, because of steering. The oil is now starting to overheat. If it's going to go out from anything other than overheating, it's going to have to be something that afflicts the car soon, because it is... yeah, it's probably no, it probably won't make it to the end of this lap, or if it does, it will be on its very last legs. In fact, the engine's starting to give up now. The torque was reduced, the head gasket was damaged, I think, in all of that. Oh, hey! Bunny hopped one of the speed bumps. Again, though, it shows the strengths of the 200BX. You can damage it, you can bend wheels. It does actually take a lot to kill it. The engine's gone, I think. That's it. It's done. The engine's all locked up with the overheating. Yeah, it shows. It really shows the strength of the 200BX. It takes a lot to kill this car, even though this is, you know, a very sports-orientated version. It does not die around these destruction circuits. Up next, we have another little hatchback. The BeamNG B2 is going to try around this circuit. Now, this is the diesel version of the car. Don't know whether that's going to make it any better for the surviving around here, but it will be our first diesel to have a try. We'll see. My fears with the BeamNG are wheel axles. Front wheel axles are likely to take a battering, let's be honest, and if a wheel is damaged, comes off, well, that's going to be end of drivable BeamNG. Good news is the suspension is very bouncy, which might keep it alive for a little bit, oh god, a little bit longer, if we can just keep bouncing our way across here rather than clattering into the ground. Okay, I take that back, that was a clatter. That did not feel particularly good, BeamNG. It's fine, nothing important's broken, the radiator's still in one piece. The bouncy suspension is, well, launching the car up into the air. A lot, that's quite alarming actually, we've not had a car nearly roll there. Oh, it's done a lot of damage to the front right. That's a potential concern. That front right wheel is, well, it's already a potential concern, and we haven't even completed a first lap yet, so... there is that. I'm also a little bit concerned we're not going to be able to actually get enough speed to even try... well, I say we'll try the jump. I don't think we're going to land it smoothly. Come on, little BeamNG! Hey! We threw that front wheel is in a lot of bother. I don't know if it's going to survive across the rocks very well. There goes the radiator. Oh, that was kind of unsurprising considering the damage we've had at the... well, at the front. It is pretty poorly. Oh, already. We're going to hit that again hard on the front end. How is the steering is still, it looks roughly in one piece, one-ish piece at least. Radiator's gone. It has gone very early on, and considering, I mean, considering it's going to take a while for the engine to just get up to normal operating temperature, we'll be good for a little while before the overheating, you know, kills it. It's what else might kill it down here. Apparently just a lack of... maybe the diesel wasn't a good idea. It's not very quick. The bumps are so vicious, it just can't pick up any speed because it's spending so much time in the air. Yeah, it's not massively fast. We might just maybe... no, we're going to hit that. Oh! Oh no, not another fuel tank. Not another fuel tank. Bugger. Oh, the steering's very, very, very upset. The BeamNG's leaking and on fire. That's a lot of fire from the diesel car. There's a lot of fire from the diesel car. We are going to... I mean, it's the same jump that killed the Fayette's fuel tank. I think if cars have a potentially weak fuel tank, that is a place that we're going to see them going. That's a place where we're going to see trouble. I mean, I guess our best bet is just go as far as we can. Just go as far as we can with the BeamNG. There's a lot of black smoke pouring out the back of the car. Oh, we gotta wiggle, and we are going to go further. We are going to go further than the Fayette at least, which is something. We might actually go further than the Firehawk as well, because even if the fuel tank, if and when the fuel tank, oh, it's cut out there. Oh, okay, we're not going to go further than the Firehawk. The fuel tank cut out, and we do not have any steer. I was trying to carry speed so that we could roll further once we got through there. The answer was no. The answer was no. That's a... That is a dead Bitron. The steering was not great for a lot of it. If I can see, it doesn't really pull. Admittedly, some will have been damaged in the crash, but it doesn't really go to the left anymore. The front end of that car is not strong. That was taking a battering pretty early on, actually, around here. Yeah, the fuel tank's gone. I actually think those front wheels would have been in real trouble by the end of this lap anyway. The fuel tank going and leaking fuel everywhere, starting many a fire, does not help matters. That'll be the Bitron very dead. And the final vehicle to go today, well, we've had a rear-wheel drive sports car, a front-wheel drive hatchback, so we've got an all-wheel drive saloon car. This is the I-Series, it's 2.4 litre, kind of mid-spec I-Series to go around here. All-wheel drive is always pretty helpful. All-wheel drive is always a good shout for these. We lose a wheel in this car, doesn't matter if it's front or rear, we'll still be okay to carry on. We lose a drive shaft, we'll still be okay to carry on. We might be stuck as a front-wheel drive or a rear-wheel drive, but, you know, we'll still be good to carry on as long as we don't lose it all in one go. We lose the engine, we're still going to be in trouble, but, yeah, these are the vehicles that tend, you know, all-wheel drive tends to go pretty well. The I-Series, I think, has been it's a fairly sturdy car, this one. I mean, it's got bouncier suspension than the full-on sports cars. Part of the reason why I went for kind of this mid-tier one. It's got slightly softer suspension. It's not full-on race stiffness. It's going to bounce it and ping it off the circuit randomly. It should cushion a little bit of the bumps. I mean, I can still already see that over these opening sections, it has buckled the front right wheel. It's not perfect. Front right wheel is certainly no longer perfect in all of this. I'm not even sure if either of the front wheels are particularly. Are we going to be good? Oh, that was gone for the 200BX. I think if I don't position the cars very carefully, they like to roll over at that point. And this is apparently a little bit heavier car. Doesn't quite roll back onto its wheels as nicely, but okay. I was trying to avoid rocks, but apparently that bit in the middle launches some of these cars up and over. Well, we didn't break the radiator. That's the important thing. We didn't break the radiator. We did do a little bit of damage to the engine from the oil starvation. That's the punishment for having the car end up on its roof. I tried my best to get them recovered quickly, but you know, they'll take potential damage. We are pretty good at keeping up our speed down here, which is nice. That's actually a very impressive run from the I-Series. It can bounce and bounce and bounce its way down there with no real problem. Yeah, as I said, the wheels are a little bit bent, but we haven't seen the big suspension collapses that we saw from the likes of the Sunburst. Are we going to go quick enough to get up here? Oh, only just do we make it up there, but we have at least done it. Oh, the other thing you don't want to be doing is when you're approaching those speed bumps, you really don't want to be having the front of the car diving down. If you can get away with the front of the car being, I mean, even just loaded, like if you're putting the power down, just that little bit of the front of the car wanting to lift up is good. You don't actually want to be on the brakes heading towards these speed bumps, because they will. Oh, there goes the front bumper. If you're on the brakes, there's those dives. It'll then dive into the speed bump. They're pretty vicious. I mean, when you get them right, they're not too bad. That's a big tumble. It actually got some pretty big height on the old jumps. Of course, with the all-wheel drive, and if the car is a decent speed vehicle by going quickly, it's gonna be taking gonna get a lot of airtime over these. I'm actually kind of surprised by the amount of airtime the I-Series was getting over there, but there we go. It has knocked out the radiator. I'm always worried something in the engine's going to get caught as we go across speed bumps now, having seen what it did. Seen what it did to the Regency, just running a smidge wide and destroyed the engine despite admittedly, of course, that car was very heavily damaged. I don't think running a bit wide in this is going to cause the engine to suddenly fail, but yeah, they are dangerous. You don't think, there's a lot of jumps, there's rocks that things can go wrong with. You don't necessarily think about the speed bumps being the biggest hazards around here, but just about anything here can cause a lot of grief for a car. Come on, I-Series. Oh no, not another one. Not another one, and we are over, and we are going to come to a halt, and we are not going to get back over. There we go. We're back on our wheels. How is the front of that car? How buckled and bent up does the chassis get? Will it get to a point where it's going to be... Oh, We are not getting over those rocks nice and cleanly. Front right looks a little bit vulnerable, to say the least. Oh, yeah, front. Oh, the front is not happy anymore. The front suspension is completely gone. We are now rear-wheel drive, so this is what I was talking about earlier. One drive shaft failure, we are good to go. Now, we're not going to be great. We're not going to be a great driving car as much, but we are still, it's still workable. My bigger concern is the front has taken a lot of suspension. I think basically we've completely collapsed the shocks. Oh, that amazingly was only the door. Yeah, so the front shocks are collapsed to the point where the front is basically hitting the ground constantly, and down this circuit, when you hit the floor constantly, well, you hit all of the nasty speed bumps, all of the nasty bunch of terrain bumps, and that's going to launch the car about uncontrollably. We've got to hope that we don't get launched into something too solid. Oh, come on, go. It doesn't. It's really struggling with the steering now. It's fine. We'll just go for a nice roll. I guess it might help our temperature a little bit. Oh, don't get beached in a pothole. It is possible. I'm allowed to drag the cars out if they get beached on a pothole, but it is very possible to get the cars beached. What are we going to do? Oh, that was what I was worried about. That suspension damage. We've got a working engine, but that is both of the I-Series drive lines gone. It's that collapsed suspension at the front. It will, in fact, it's collapsed. If you turn right, so me turning left, getting ready for that corner, you turn left, it put the front right corner of the car down. Doing that, the underside of the car. I mean, you can see the angle of gearbox is at. The underside of the car is just dragging above the floor. There's a speed bump in the way. You do that, clonk, takes the underside apart, which in this case tore off the drive shaft that was keeping us going. Well, I mean, it's certainly not the worst car. It's not the worst car to have gone around here whatsoever. 2 drive shafts. That's quite impressive, actually, to have all of the wheels still working, all the wheels still steering, but it was the underside of the I-Series that bore the brunt of that damage. On to our leaderboard, and while there is no change at the very top, the 200BX will go into a second place. It displaces that Sunburst. As I said before, that the 200BX is a tough car. It is amazing how long those things will keep going. Even the street-tuned one, lowered sport suspension, it got bounced, it got battered around that circuit, but it kept going until, well, the engine overheated. We do have to go a little bit further down to find the other vehicles today. The I-Series will go into a 5th place. Not too shabby, although the drive shafts, that suspension collapsed, and once that was gone, the underside of that car was very, very exposed to a large amount of damage. The Victron, well, that's all the way down in 8th place. Don't pay too much attention to the actual distance numbers. While I have included them, they are not massively accurate, owing to, well, the way the game calculates it is based on the number of revolutions of the wheels, which, well, some of the cars spin their wheels some more. Sometimes I go a little bit more exploring in terms of the distance, in terms of the route that I take through various reasons. So the table will always be ordered in where they actually conked out on the track rather than the physical number spewed out by the computer. The Victron did not quite roll as far as the other Firehawk, but the Firehawk's drive shaft snapped and it kind of rolled down the hill. The Victron, that ran out of fuel and went to roll down the hill. I think as it hit the first speed bump, I think that actually tore or broke the wheel as I tried to make the corner, or bent the wheel more as I tried to make the corner, and then we ended up in the barrier. Regardless, it was basically dead anyway. I don't think it would have rolled as far as the Firehawk. Regardless, yeah, little hatchbacks not having a great time around this circuit. Not having a great time at all. That, though, is going to be it for this video. I shall, of course, link all the mods used in the description if you want to download them and have a go with them yourself. But that'll be it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.